Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace, mercy, and blessings of Allah be upon you, you who are listening to these words not by chance, but by divine will. For if you have stumbled upon this message today, perhaps Allah wants to remind you of a powerful truth. You are not weak. You are not forgotten. You may be one of His chosen ones. There are souls on this earth who walk silently. It makes the forces of evil tremble. Servants whom Allah has chosen, purified by trial, strengthened by worship, hidden from the eyes of the world, but known in the heavens. And you, perhaps, are one of them. Have you ever wondered why you are so disturbing, even though you haven't harmed anyone? Why do people reject you, become jealous of you, distance themselves from you, or fight you for no apparent reason? It's not you they reject. It's the light of Allah they see in you. And this light burns hearts filled with envy, pride, or hypocrisy. It drives away hatred. It makes those who live in lies nervous. Let me tell you something. When Allah chooses a servant, He elevates him. He protects him. He equips him with an invisible force. And this force cannot be seen, but it can be felt. It commands respect, even in silence. It creates fear in those who live in injustice. This is why you who feel misunderstood, rejected, hurt, you may actually be a threat to the forces of darkness, simply because Allah has singled you out. This message is for you, so that you understand that you have not been pushed aside. You have been set apart. You are not rejected. You are protégé. And today, it is time to discover why hatreds flee when you advance. Why you have unknowingly become one of the most dangerous in the eyes of those who fight the truth. Not because you raised your voice, but because your heart turned to the Almighty. Prepare to hear what many don't dare to say. This message could very well be the reminder your soul has been waiting for. There are people whom Allah hides from the eyes of the world, but whom He strengthens from within. Their strength is not seen in muscles, nor in loud words, nor in appearances. It is buried deep within the heart, where the divine light descends. And when Allah chooses one of His servants, He begins by breaking down what is weak in him, to leave only that which relies on Him. He removes human support, illusions of control, emotional dependencies. He places you in situations where you can count only on Him. And it is there, in this apparent destitution, that He places a silent power, a light, a shield, a breath of endurance, a lucidity that the world does not understand. This is the invisible power of the elect. That is why you can be beaten, betrayed, defiled. But nothing can destroy you, for Allah has strengthened you from within. He has made you able to walk alone, to continue without gratitude, to smile in pain, to say Alhamdulillah, even with tears in your eyes. He has inscribed within you a patience which goes beyond logic, a tawakkul that amazes people, a confidence that intimidates even those who oppose you. And this strength is disturbing, because it doesn't come from this world. It doesn't depend on people's gaze or their validation. It is nourished in solitude with Allah, in secret prostrations, in night prayers. It is born when no one believes in you anymore, except the one who created you. The Prophet said, "Know that what you lacked was never meant to reach you, and that what reached you was never meant to be missed." Reported by At-Tirmidhi. This is how Allah educates His chosen ones. He detaches them from the world so that they may cling to Him alone. And once their faith becomes their only weapon, they become untouchables. Not because they are perfect, but because they are protégés. They may look ordinary, but what they carry within them is formidable for any injustice. So if you feel like you're going through storms, doors are closing, people are drifting away. Maybe Allah is training you. Maybe He's equipping you, out of sight, for a mission that only a pure heart can accomplish. There's a reason you feel this sacred fire within you. It's not arrogance. It's the imprint of the one who chose you. There's something strange that happens when you begin to walk sincerely with Allah. It's not just your life that changes. It's also how others react to you. Suddenly, some friends become distant. Colleagues look at you differently. Even relatives start criticizing or avoiding you. And you wonder, what did I do wrong? But actually, you didn't do anything wrong. You just became a mirror. Yes, a living mirror that God uses to reveal what others carry within them. When a heart is pure, it reflects the light of Allah. And this light illuminates the truths that some want to hide. It disturbs those who live in lies, duplicity, or jealousy. It exposes realities that their souls are not ready to face. Allah's chosen ones do not seek to expose others, but their mere presence reveals. Their calmness brings out the agitation. Their sincerity exposes the manipulation. Their silence reveals the inner turmoil of others. And this is not because they are perfect, but because Allah has made them authentic. Remember how the Quraysh reacted to the Prophet. It was not because he was attacking. It was because he existed. Because he carried within him a light that their darkness could not tolerate. They insulted him, rejected him, fought him, not for what he did, but for what he represented. That is what it means to be dangerous. Not with weapons, but with truth that you carry. And you, if you are sincere with your Lord, if you purify your intention, if you live with integrity, you will become that same mirror. And the people around you will have to choose, either change or flee. That is why some will avoid you. Not because they truly hate you, but because your light reminds them of what they refuse to face. So don't be troubled by rejection, criticism, or hostility. Instead, be grateful. For it can be a clear sign Allah has made you a developer, and the more your light grows, the more the darkness around you will be put to flight. Some believe that Allah's chosen ones are elevated, protected from all harm, spared from human wounds. But it is often the opposite. They are wounded more often because their hearts are more sensitive. They see further, they feel more deeply. They discern what others ignore. Their heart is like an antenna connected to the divine. And this connection makes them vulnerable to the pains of this world, but powerful in the invisible. Allah never lets them fall, even when they are on their knees, even when everything seems broken around them. For in the midst of suffering, their soul rises. It detaches itself. It learns to breathe differently, with the breath of faith and no longer that of illusions. And it is in this divine school that the chosen ones become formidable. Not out of revenge, not out of pride, but because Allah gives them weapons that no one understands. He offers them a cold lucidity in the midst of betrayals, a strange peace in the midst of storms, a strength hidden in apparent weakness. They do not need to speak loudly, for their presence speaks. They do not need to convince, for their sincerity is enough. And those who hate them end up fleeing not because they are powerful by human standards, but because their silence accuses, their gaze testifies, their patience judges. And you, who are listening to these words, perhaps feel this fire within you. Perhaps you no longer recognize yourself in this world. You no longer tolerate false smiles, masks, pretenses. You are in pain, but you continue. You are tired, but you move forward. And all this is not a sign that you are lost. Perhaps, on the contrary, It is a sign that you are being shaped. You are being formed in secret, like a diamond polished away from view. You are being taught in silence, like a soldier being prepared for a war that no one sees. Don't minimize what you're going through. The trials you're going through maybe prove that you're seen, that you're loved, that you're called. For Allah, when He wants to elevate a servant, He breaks him first, not to punish him, but to purify him, so that he has nothing but Him. And when a heart belongs only to Allah, then it becomes a spiritual weapon against all the falsehoods of this world. There is a truth that many ignore. The closer you sincerely draw to Allah, the more you will disturb the people who live far from Him. You have done nothing to them. You have not judged them. You have simply changed. And this change, even silent, confronts them with what they do not want to see. When you become aligned with your Creator, you emanate something that cannot be imitated, a peace, a light, a certainty. And this energy scares away twisted hearts because it reminds them of what they have abandoned, what they have betrayed, what they have forgotten. Don't be surprised if some people slander you, even though you've always treated them with respect. Don't be surprised if faces change as soon as you walk into a room. It's not you who's the problem. It's the presence of Allah within you. You've become a living reminder. Your silence speaks louder than words. Your righteousness is a slap in the face for those who have chosen compromise. You don't seek to dominate. You only seek to obey. And that's what's disturbing. Your obedience to Allah is an implicit refusal to obey the passions of others. When Allah wants to elevate one of His servants, He cleanses him of everything that weighs him down. He rids him of false supports, toxic dependencies, and useless ties. You lose some people, and you think it's a punishment. But it's actually a liberation. Allah frees you from what slows you down so that you can walk freely towards Him. And in this freedom, you become dangerous. Not in the human sense, but in the spiritual sense. Dangerous for lies, dangerous for hypocrisy, dangerous for those who want to extinguish the light that Allah has lit within you. And every time you move forward despite loneliness, every time you say, Ya Allah, when you have no one left, every time you refuse to sell yourself, even for a little comfort, you rise. You move away from the invisible chains that bind souls to the lower world. You become lighter, truer, closer to your essence. And those who observed you with a superior eye begin to fear you. Not because of you, but because of what you represent. A soul that nothing can corrupt. A heart that beats only for its Lord. A will that even storms cannot extinguish. There is a mystery in how Allah works with the hearts He loves. He shapes them in pain, builds them in silence, strengthens them in surrender. What the world sees as a fall, Allah uses as a springboard. What people interpret as rejection is often protection. And what you feel is an end is actually only a beginning. When you are rejected and misunderstood, isolated, it does not mean that you no longer have value. It means that you have been set apart, set aside for a higher purpose. For Allah never allows His chosen ones to remain in the crowd when He wants to entrust them with a sacred burden. And this is where your true transformation begins. Not in public, but in private. Not in front of the cameras, but in your most sincere prostrations. It is when your heart truly breaks that the light begins to penetrate. It is when you cry unseen that heaven sends its angels. It is when you no longer seek to be understood that you are truly understood by the one who created you. And in this intimacy, you become a bearer of a secret that few can bear. True closeness to Allah. This closeness cannot be explained. It must be felt. It gives you an invisible strength that challenges the established order. A lucidity that cuts through lies. An inner stability that disarms even your detractors. Those who seek to harm you sense that there is something in you they cannot reach. They attack, but you remain standing. They manipulate, but you remain upright. They speak, but your silence hits them harder than their words. And it's not because you are better, it's because Allah supports you. And when Allah supports a heart, nothing can extinguish it. If you knew how much your faith disturbs those who have everything but inner peace. If you knew how much your authenticity hurts those who live in a mask. If you knew how your hope in Allah makes those who stake everything on this lower world tremble. You would never doubt your worth again. You would understand that your pain has meaning, that your silence is heard, that your struggle is seen. You have not been abandoned. You are simply being lifted up, slowly, surely, powerfully. There is a mystery in how Allah works with the hearts He loves. He shapes them in pain, builds them in silence, strengthens them in surrender. What the world sees as a fall, Allah uses as a springboard. What people interpret as rejection is often protection. And what you feel is an end is actually only a beginning. When you are rejected, misunderstood, isolated, it does not mean that you no longer have value. It means that you have been set apart, set aside for a higher purpose. For Allah never allows His chosen ones to remain in the crowd when He wants to entrust them with a sacred burden. And this is where your true transformation begins. Not in public, but in private. Not in front of the cameras, but in your most sincere prostrations. It is when your heart truly breaks that the light begins to penetrate. It is when you cry unseen that heaven sends its angels. It is when you no longer seek to be understood that you are truly understood by the one who created you. And in this intimacy, you become a bearer of a secret that few can bear. True closeness to Allah. This closeness cannot be explained. It must be felt. It gives you an invisible strength that challenges the established order. A lucidity that cuts through lies. An inner stability that disarms even your detractors. Those who seek to harm you sense that there is something in you they cannot reach. They attack, but you remain standing. They manipulate, but you remain upright. They speak, but your silence hits them harder than their words. And it's not because you are better, it's because Allah supports you. And when Allah supports a heart, nothing can extinguish it. If you knew how much your faith disturbs those who have everything but inner peace. If you knew how much your authenticity hurts those who live in a mask. If you knew how your hope in Allah makes those who stake everything on this lower world tremble, you would never doubt your worth again. You would understand that your pain has meaning, that your silence is heard, that your struggle is seen. You have not been abandoned. You are simply being lifted up, slowly, surely, powerfully. Never underestimate what you are becoming. Every moment you spend fighting against yourself, resisting temptations, rising to pray when your soul is heavy, every glance you avert, every word you hold back, every tear shed in secret, all of this is seen, all of it matters, all of it builds a being that the world can never destroy. You don't see it yet, but in the invisible, something is taking shape. Allah is refining you. He's elevating you. He's preparing you for things you could not bear if you were still attached to what you were yesterday. What you are going through is not by chance. This rejection, this loneliness, these hidden pains, this feeling that no one understands your depths. All of this is an answer to a prayer you made, perhaps without realizing it. You asked to be close to Allah. You asked to be sincere. You asked to no longer live in illusions. Then Allah began to cut, to remove, to purify. What hurts today is what was weighing you down without you realizing it. And what you are losing now, you will thank Him later for no longer having it. Because you cannot ascend with the baggage of a life you are leaving behind. Look at what you are becoming. A soul that depends solely on Allah. A heart that nothing can buy. A presence that disturbs even without speaking. You are not dangerous because you are frightening, but because you are no longer afraid. You no longer sell yourself. You no longer chase after people's acceptance. You have learned to be alone with God, and this solitude has transformed into power. The world does not understand this kind of strength. It does not shout, it does not explode, it does not show itself. It advances quietly, but it overturns everything in its path. Allah chose you. He isolated you to better arm you. He made you go through pain so that you would recognize peace when it comes. He removed you from public view so that you would focus on His. And now that you have survived what others would not have endured, you have a new outlook on life. You are no longer here to impress, but to embody. You are no longer pretending. You have become real. And the souls who live in falsehood will have no choice but to distance themselves. Not because you are violent, but because your light exposes them. Because your calm is unbearable for those who live in tumult. Because your love for Allah becomes a living reminder that many have turned their backs on their essence.